And we wait. And we're live. There we go. And for everybody who wonders why we say we're live every time we start a show, it's because those words appear when we start to go live. It comes across the screen and says, "You are live." So we are live, and it is Monday night, and it is time once again for the EriDan Film Festival. I'm Eric, and that is Dan Rosenberg.
I just finished my dinner. Thank you very much.
Did you have a nice dinner?
Oh, Trader Joe's pizza with my own little jalapenos on top of the pepperoni. Pretty good.
Well, how about that?
It was a little undercooked, but
well fed. Hopefully you enjoyed, or at least viewed a movie, and are ready for some topical conversation about the movie. It's Complicated. So if you haven't seen the movie before, or if you have, we're going to talk all about it and let you know everything you need to know. And we're ready to get going, right?
Let's roll.
Let's go. It is complicated. And it is on the podcast. It is season 2, episode 16. And on every other Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, your mom, I don't know. This is episode 45 of the EriDan Film Festival.
Wow, 45.
45 times we have sat here and talked movies. And tonight, it's complicated. And as we always remind you, this is your chance to talk with us live about it if you want. You can either make comments, or you can click EriDanLive.com on your browser or on your phone, and you'll get a little video to join us, and we can hear your thoughts live.
Yes, we can talk to us. We can see you, and it's fun and exciting. It's like going to the movies with a bunch of people, yet staying home.
And then after the movie, you go to your local eatery, your Eaton Park, if you're on the East Coast.
Wow.
And you talk about the movie, and you go, what was that we just saw? And you say it's complicated. So I'll do a quick rundown of the movie if you've never seen it before, or even if you have and it's maybe don't know all these wonderful fine facts. It's Complicated, 2009, rated R, starring Meryl Streep, Alec Baldwin, Steve Martin, John Krasinski. We got a little Rita Wilson in there. We got some Mary Kay Place in there. We've got it written and directed by Nancy Meyers. Budget of $85 million. Worldwide gross $219 million. Critics 58. Audience 60.
Pretty consistent.
Pretty consistent down there. So as I said, this is the night that you get to join us in for conversation and see if you agree with that 60 that the audience gives it, or the 58 that the audience gives it. We want to hear from you, and we're going to hear from Gary too. Let's welcome Gary in from the green room.
Okay, Gary, you have my attention.
Hello, Gary.
Wow, look at that.
Hey guys,
Gary's here. Gary's got a corner behind him too. We all have corners behind us. It's good.
Yeah, I'm in the corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner though.
I've adjusted. My new posters are up.
I love the posters. It's looking sharp. And there's a really nice purplish hue you got there. I'm assuming that is light reflecting off of your audio panels. Your wish.com.
I wish they were working.
They're not there yet. Although I think Michael might have something to say about my audio panels.
Let's find out about that.
All clear, Michael. It's safe to proceed.
Michael,
who's
like
this guy?
Got them though.
How are you?
Look at that. Look at
How do you like my
wow.
That was the background we talked about. Obviously, you've watched the show.
Of course.
What?
I think that's enough said. Let's hear what Dave thinks about that.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
And hello, Dave.
That's it.
The impotent expert, you were about to say something. Nope.
Oh, me? All right. Listen. I want to straighten out a few things for you guys, okay?
Oh, here we go.
First of all, I did have a high school nickname. My high school nickname was Zoom because I don't know if you could tell, I'm high strung. Can you tell? Can you tell? Can you tell?
Yeah, a little bit.
Also for Denise, if you are listening at any point, Denise, the Mad Expert is not a nickname. What happened was my original title for my review website was Real Reviews, spelled REEL. However, up yours. However,
I'm awake.
Huh?
however,
my best point orange here.
Is it over yet?
This really is complicated.
Hey,
Listen,
spread the
the Mad
word.
Expert is not a nickname; it's the name of my review website. And Eric, I'm a little sorry, I'm a little sad that you didn't stick up for me about that.
I flaked.
Hey,
I don't even know.
For our listeners,
You want to defend
who are
yourself,
not
you got to
watching.
be here, bro. That's just the way it is. Otherwise,
Hey,
For our listeners who are not watching, we are referring to Friday night's podcast, which is not actually a podcast.
Even if you're watching tonight, you're not going to understand any of that.
Previously
make-
on EriDan.
That's about it.
just to confuse it more, just remember, the ace don't take shit from no one. Spread the word.
It's very true. So for the record, we do a lovely show on Friday night where it's lots of fun, games and conversation. But if you're
show.
regular and you fail to show up, then you get what you get.
And it can be a little more off the rails than Monday nights tend to be.
It is a little more off the rails. But tonight we're talking about It's Complicated, which I'm assuming you gentlemen have all had a chance to watch. Had you seen it before, or was this anybody's first viewing?
First viewing.
Second.
First
viewing,
viewing,
too?
I thought I saw it.
I'm not sure. I saw it before, but most of what I watched, I did not remember.
Oh, interesting.
I'm in the
drugs
same
will
boat
do
as
that.
that. Same boat.
You were shocked to see Alec Baldwin with no clothes on.
I think he was
I
excited.
love that a guy who at the time was my age was not ashamed to show that it's okay to gain some weight. I thought that was marvelous. One of the few things about the film that I liked.
They did use a body double for a total of one scene.
Yeah,
When he
that
was
not his
bending over,
ass.
you saw his butt full frame.
I had figured that was not.
And I'm going to guess he was not 58 when they filmed that. I think they made him older in the movie because he's 13 years younger than Meryl Streep. So he's only in his 60s now, and that movie was 10 years ago.
That
He's
was
not
10 years ago.
58.
He's 10 years older than I am, I think. Let's look it up.
I don't think he's 68. Gary? Anyway, so this was the movie my mother picked. Now, my mother tonight will be watching this on tape delay, but she did send me her score already because she's got book club, I think book club, maybe Mahjong, one of her clubs tonight in person for the first time in a year and a half.
Oh, that's cool.
They're all vaccinated, and so they're meeting in person.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations.
I gave her an excuse. I'm like, you can miss,
She gets a pass.
even though it's her movie.
Alec Baldwin, born 1958, so he's 4 years older than me.
So he's 12 years older than me. So there you go.
People doing the math at home. You can
I'll take
figure
Alec
out-
Baldwin for 200.
It's complicated.
Where are you going to take him?
What is it's complicated?
So
I will-
go ahead, please, Dan.
I'm going to just start right off the bat by saying I saw who was in the movie, and when we've had this happen before, we've got an all-star cast, and you're like, how could it go wrong? And you worry that it might go wrong. It didn't. It worked in this one. It worked very well in this one, in my opinion. And it's because you had a writer-director. I always say when the writer directs the film, you get a better film.
Now, I mean, I think now, Michael, you have to admit, Michael, you were probably not the target audience for this movie. All right, so
That's true because I've never been married. However,
shaking his head violently to Dan's comments, and I lean towards Dan's side of this, where I think it's an enjoyable movie. I mean, it's not, did it blow me away? Was I on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen next? No, because I'm like, all right, this is going to go a couple of different ways, and I'm like, there's no way they end up together. Spoiler. But it's like, but I think it was still very, I found it enjoyable. I didn't find it painful. It wasn't cringeworthy. So Michael obviously disagrees.
say, Dan, before we go any further, since this was your mom's movie, you want to give our listeners and viewers a brief synopsis of the film's plot so they can catch up?
Ketchup? No, I had pizza.
Okay.
Old people having sex?
Basically, you have a
Hey,
married
leave us
couple.
out of this.
You have a couple that got divorced. They have 3 kids. The husband married a younger woman, and She's got a crazy kid from a guy that she had an affair with on him. Long story. And so the husband and wife basically kind of get back together, sort of. They have an affair with each other, the ex-husband and ex-wife. And then Steve Martin shows up as an architect for the second time. He's been an architect, and comedy ensues. I laughed out loud several times in this movie.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen often.
In defense, so did I, but most of my laughter came from only one person's performance.
And I know who you're going to say. Yep.
Krasinski saved the
he was
film.
really good in this movie. He was good in this.
Every scene with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin was the same. He kept repeating how good it was that they had sex. She kept repeating how bad it was. Every time they got together for the first 90 minutes-ish, every scene they did was the same. It was so dull.
Well, I think if you are emotionally stunted, you would find this movie dull.
Oh, come on.
But what I'm saying,
did you laugh when he keeled over?
Yeah,
sure. Heart attacks are funny.
I mean, I think there's some emotional, there's some
You didn't have a heart attack.
the conversation was about going on between the two of them, because I think it was an interesting exploration about this idea of going back. And so, I mean, it made me think about times when you were dating with somebody, have you ever dated somebody and then left that relationship and then gone back to that relationship? And why do you go back to that relationship? Is it because it is truly better? Or is it because it's comfortable? And so I found it was interesting watching him trying to figure out, is he sincere about this? Or is this just something new that feels so comfortable because it's not new?
See, to me, he was the master manipulator in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, he was clearly when they gave his profession as an attorney, that was very obvious. He's used to manipulating people.
Foreshadowing.
He's used to talking people into his viewpoint. And I'm not saying that's a negative. That fit in the movie, but as his character, that's clearly who he was in this relationship.
Are you saying that he was purposely being manipulative, that he truly wasn't feeling emotions towards Meryl Streep's character?
When he called up the tears when the kids were saying, "Oh, let Dad move back in." I mean, come on.
I wasn't sure. Was he genuinely having an emotional moment, or was he manipulating the kids? And that speaks to the strength of Alec Baldwin's performance. Most of what happened but there were moments that were so brilliant, and that was one of them. Now, but here's the thing: we're discussing. Never go back to an old flame. Thank you. That's my brother-in-law.
I've done this.
Yes,
I've lived this part of the movie.
Going back to an ex-girlfriend is like escaping from prison and going back to prison to see what all those guys are like. But here's the thing. Here's what I found. These two main characters, I found very few redeemable qualities, because he broke up his marriage because he cheated on his wife. Then when they get back together, she becomes the mistress who's sleeping with another woman's husband. And she even has a scene with her friends where she says, "We've become the woman we hate." And they all went, "Oh no, it's okay because you're one of us." That ruined those characters for me. I couldn't be sympathetic to them.
But except if you accept that this is just someone who would be, even though she was cheated on, she's willing to cheat, I get your point. But if you view it as someone who's willing to cheat in this specific circumstance, because the woman she is harming is someone who already wronged her, then it's a different viewpoint, because she has had a chip on her shoulder for this woman for 10 years.
Sure.
He has managed to forgive her to a degree, but she's never gotten over it. Right. And so
Couple of things that happened to me to speak to that is because it was dull, I kept doing other things. I kept reaching for my phone. I went and cooked. So I was unsure why they got divorced until well through the film.
I don't agree. I don't agree. This was not dull. This movie is not boring.
I'm still not sure if his trophy wife was the reason for the breakup, or if it was someone else that he cheated with.
No,
so that I was never sure of.
It was her, and the little kid she had was an affair she had with another guy.
Although I think not really an affair, because I don't think they were married.
They weren't married yet. You're right, but
they were dating, and
they were together. That's right.
They were together, and she ran off.
Now I'm going to say something freaky.
Ooh, okay.
And a lot of people. This isn't one of my 5 freaky facts, which I do have, Eric. Okay. This is a dream I had the night before watching the movie. And I don't remember the people because that's how dreams are. But in my dream, I met somebody at a restaurant, and we're going to go on a first date. And then an ex showed up and I left with her instead. And so I'm thinking maybe I did see this movie before, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure we should see a slasher movie next then, because
The other thing is, Alec Baldwin's face was so. This whole movie, I felt like he was doing the puss face. He looked more like Stephen Baldwin than Alec Baldwin in this movie. He was a left-wing version of Stephen Baldwin. But I love Alec Baldwin. I love Steve Martin.
I would have liked
Meryl Streep.
more Steve Martin in this movie.
Steve Martin, this was not the role for him because we're so used to him being funny and being, very witty. And in this, he was just, I don't know. He was just like, the shoulder to cry on, and I'm here for you. And
he was high.
But is that because you didn't like his performance, or because you felt that his talent was wasted?
His talent was wasted. That's what it was.
Put somebody else in that role, and the movie wouldn't have been.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask Menza that. Would you like, and all of you guys, would you have liked this movie if it was for younger generation actors? Now, you can't have the same storyline because they can't have grown kids. But what if you had an Amy Schumer married to an Owen Wilson, and the ex was, you know what I mean? Would that?
I'm going to.
Oh, geez, man!
I'm going to give you an example.
Paul Rubens.
I'm going to give you an example of a film. I'm going to give you an example of a very similar film that was infinitely funnier than this one.
Because these were not
Crazy Stupid Love. Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell and
Ryan Gosling.
What's his name? Yes. That film was a similar situation. But
wait. You said what's her name? He said Ryan Gosling, and you said yes.
Oh, her. He's thinking of.
So who's the her you were thinking of?
Who's the
woman that plays opposite?
The redhead from Boogie Nights and
I can't remember her name. I'm blanking on her name, and I love her as an actress.
Heather Graham?
No, the redhead.
No,
the redhead. Oh,
she took over the Starling role in the Hannibal Lecter thing.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
I can picture her. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, her. Anyway,
I can look it up, but why bother?
I was pleasantly surprised. I'm going to leave it at that for this movie. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again.
Again, when you think of comedic actors, the first names that come to mind are not Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin.
Well, but
Alec Baldwin.
Julian Moore.
Thank you.
Alec Baldwin does.
Well, I mean, and it's not a madcap comedy, obviously, right? I mean, it's definitely
a rom-com
comedy where there are a lot of moments that
But the scene of them, because they are of age, and I don't say that in a bad way, of them getting high at the party, that's freaking. I almost had tears in my eyes.
Moments.
That is freaking hysterical.
Moments, but it's
Yeah, and him jumping in the bed when she's on the computer with Steve Martin. That also, it's not as funny if it's Amy Schumer and Owen Wilson.
I agree, but the tone of the film up to that point made it feel like that was something. Shit, we better do something funny now. That's what it felt like. The scenes were great, I agree, but I felt like they were inserted too late. If you had done some more of that earlier in the film, would have been better. And we're talking about Steve Martin. If you ever seen The Spanish Prisoner, Steve Martin plays a serious dramatic role. He kills it in that film. Oh, yeah. So he kept the drama, and he was okay in the beginning. But I agree. I agree. We didn't get his full range in that performance.
See, I kind of like that he underplayed this role. I kind of enjoyed that this was not, because this was not. He got like second billing, but he still wasn't. He wasn't the focus of this story, and so having him be too amazingly charming and hilarious would have been unrealistic.
And the other thing too is I shouldn't say needed, the way the script was written. As I said, Baldwin was a bit of a manipulator. He was charming. You could see why people liked him. You could see why people were drawn to him, but he clearly was a bit flawed in many ways. Whereas Steve Martin's character was so universally nice that, as she said in the one scene, she's not used to dealing with someone she can count on. And I thought that was a very telling line.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we all agree.
Now, my big question is, how much money do these people have for some of these homes?
Well, you've got a lawyer and a restaurant owner. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, and don't forget they got divorced. So how much did he give her as well?
I mean, that was
Half.
the property
I want
was
half.
having completely gutted pretty much for a renovation. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, the other thing too is like
Everybody was very successful. I'm just saying, everybody's doing very well in this story. It was it was like House Hunters, where it was like, hey, you know, I clip coupons for a living, and he walks dogs, and our budget is $8 million. It was like, what's happening? Nobody went to work. Steve Martin was the only person who went to work.
He went to work. She was in a restaurant a lot of times.
Oh no! For like a half a second, she was in there, and then she left. She's like, I gotta get lift.
But I will say, I did write the comment at the beginning that for the first sort of half hour or so, visually, not plot wise or anything, visually, it reminded me of an episode of The Californians from Saturday Night Live.
Well, that's interesting. I have some freaky facts, and that ties to one of them. So, Eric, if you want to do 5 freaky facts,
we should do some freaky facts. It is time now for Dan's freaky facts.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, so freaky.
Now, I got a warm, fuzzy feeling at the very beginning of this movie because they're showing the coastline of Santa Barbara, and you can actually see the spot I was married. The exact place where we stood and got married is in the very opening, the little over cliff. So that was kind of cool to see Santa Barbara. However, that's the only part of Santa Barbara they actually shot in, because the movie was pretty much shot in New York, which is weird that all of that was.
And a little bit in LA.
A little bit in LA, but most of the film was actually shot in New York. Another freaky fact: Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, Michael Douglas, and Tom Hanks were all considered.
Wow,
for this role.
Any role? Which role?
For Meryl Streep's role, yeah.
For Jake Adler. Jake Adler. It's a freaky fact. Although you could say that about probably any movie that's got a leading man that's Alec Baldwin.
Charming, yeah.
The movie that the family watches is The Graduate, starring Dustin Hoffman, who starred with Meryl Streep in Kramer versus Kramer, not related to Michael Richards on Seinfeld. Different Kramer. 3 of only 4 at the time Saturday Night Live 10 Timers Club appear in this movie. 3.
Whoa.
So
one indirectly, but yes.
Alec Baldwin,
Baldwin,
Steve Martin, and anyone else?
Buck Henry.
Buck Henry, yes, he has a very click in The Graduate. He's got a very funny.
He does. Oh, that's
indirectly.
Had to secure the rights
here in the movie.
Yeah. His image appears in the movie.
His image appears in the movie, and Don Goodman is not there. He's the other one who's a member of the 10 Timers Club, as is cast member Rita Wilson's husband, Tom Hanks. He'd only hosted 8 times at this point, but I think he might have crossed the 10 Timers Club. And the final one, this to me is the freakiest of it all. Meryl Streep, Alec Baldwin, and Steve Martin are all related to each other in real life. How cool is that? Wow. Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin are 10th cousins. And Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin are 18th cousins, several times removed. Blah, 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 blah. And Steve Martin and Meryl Streep are also 18th cousins, several times removed, which I think all of us are probably 18th cousins several times.
Well, you go back to Noah.
Yeah.
Go to Ancestry DNA and find out for sure.
Yeah. So those are the freaky facts. And I've never been divorced. My parents were never divorced. So there were some things I couldn't relate to, like the fact that the kids were so pissed off when they're going to get back together, and like they're upset about it. And I thought about, how many times I've said to my wife, "Oh, your mom and your dad get along. It'd be funny if they got back together." She, "Oh God, no." Right. Because they're both married to totally different people. There you go. There's the family portrait right there behind Michael. But Baldwin's face.
There they are watching The Graduate.
That's right. Are you here for an affair, sir? What?
John Krasinski was hysterical though when he
was brilliant. He saved the movie for me.
Although the Steve Martin video Zoom call 10 years early with the Tuchus, that was very funny.
And his stoned dancing at the party.
It was a little predictable.
Like there were good moments. There was laughs to be had. There was, but part of it was also very thoughtful. I thought there was, because relationships are complicated, right? And especially when you have that many people involved and that much weirdness, you at times you sort of, hopefully relate and sympathize with each of these characters a little bit, or you're like, okay, they got what they deserve, you know? But I mean, I feel like they got an emotional response out of me while I was watching it, as opposed to, you know, sometimes a comedy, everybody's so flat, you could care less who dies, who lives, whose feelings are hurt, who's not. And so I feel while they were doing comedy, they were also trying to make an emotional movie.
And Alec Baldwin made a statement about the fact that I don't want to be going to college graduation when I'm 80. And after this movie, he married a younger woman, and he's going to be going to college graduation when he's 80.
That's hilarious.
And her name is Hilaria.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's actually his wife's name, and apparently she's like from Jersey, but she's been using a fake accent for years.
Really?
I don't know how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to be Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh, well, who doesn't?
Yeah. She's not Penelope
Her real
Cruz.
name's Hillary, but she goes by
Hilarious Hillary. All right. Well, we're halfway through, or half hour in, so I think it's time we should get ready to rate this thing. So
We want to rate. Does anybody have any last comments before we throw out a ratings?
I will say we watched, because this is one of Margaret's, I want to say favorite, top 10 probably movies.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those movies that, you know, and like we all have movies like this. If it comes on, and she specifically said this, if it comes on, you have to watch it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's watched this numerous times while we've been married, but I've never watched it with her. This is the first time I ever watched it. So that was very interesting. And we did actually go and watch the commentary by the director and editor and a few other people that were on the Blu-ray. And it really was very interesting. You know, Nancy Myers goes into a lot of detail about a lot of very interesting things. You know, she herself was divorced, and she wrote this. Then years later, she needed time to sort of digest it. So this was part of that, was factored into it. She wrote it with Meryl Streep in mind from the start, and she said that actually made her a braver writer and made her write more complicated character, because she knew she had Meryl, if she could get her, to playing that role. So that factored into her writing. So I thought that was really interesting. And she also mentioned numerous times how much Baldwin brought to the role. He had suggestions all the time. Well, why don't we do this? And there were times when at the end, when they're sitting on the swing, and he whispers the line, "Are you always going to be so hard on me?" or something like that. And that was just him deciding to whisper it in one of the takes. And she specifically told the editor, use that take, because she loved that. So yeah.
He has softened up quite a bit, Alec Baldwin. Because
let's find out exactly what people thought about that whispering as we assign a number and rate the.
The EriDan rating bot 6000 is now activated.
Calculating.
All right, so we are looking for a number from 1 to 100 to assign to. It's complicated. I have a feeling some people's thoughts behind their numbers are going to be complicated.
Oh, we got our first rating.
yeah, Jake likes it. Good movie.
Liked it a lot. 91 from Jacob.
I have my mom's score. She texted it to me. I'll give it later.
Okay.
Michael, why don't you go next?
Oh, sure. All right, because you guys are going to hate me. I don't care.
No, there's no hate. There's no
It's not
hate.
going to change anything. If we hate you, it's because we already hated you. So that's not a problem.
Wait, what?
No, you can't be hated for your opinion.
Exactly.
Because it's an opinion, right?
Listen, I hate some of you guys for your opinion about Buck Private. So,
No, that's a fact. I'm gonna my hatred of Buck Kravitz is a fact. Okay.
all right, let's do some facts then. Here's the fact. It took me 3 days. Took me 3 days to get through this film. I kept going.
And even then, you weren't fully watching it, apparently.
wow.
I couldn't. It bored me. The whole first hour bored me. Like I said, they kept repeating the same scene over and over again. Oh, I think it's so good that we had sex. Oh, I think it's a mistake. And then the completely irredeemable qualities of these two characters kept going. I kept going, oh, I can't like either of them, despite the fact that Alec was charming, despite the fact that Meryl was giving us some insight in her struggles with the divorce and her struggles with herself. I still had trouble liking the characters. If I can't like the characters, I can't like the movie. Then John Krasinski came along and salvaged it. He was wonderful. His whole spiel during the hotel scene just was wonder. I can't say enough good things about Krasinski. Steve Martin started out so reserved, and I get it, and it's okay. I like how the direction he took the character, which did make the pot scenes funny. But I can't rate this movie high. I'm only going to go 64 because here's the main reason why. Unfortunately, I kept comparing it in my head to Crazy Stupid Love, which is hysterically funny, and right or wrong, that handicapped my rating of Complicated.
Okay, that's complicated, but okay.
You expected simple from me?
Never. I'd be disappointed otherwise. All right, who would like to? Anybody?
To quote John Lovett's character from The Critic, it sucks. But
I missed The Critic.
Wait, I thought it stinks.
Oh, you're right. It stinks. You're right.
Your way.
Thank you, Mike.
Very nice.
I'll go next.
Okay.
There were a few things that didn't work for me. It worked mostly. And I did think the chemistry between Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin was real. It felt real. I did like Steve Martin's character being so much an open book, which was such a marked contrast to Alec Baldwin's character, to the point where she didn't really know how to deal with him because she had never dealt with a guy like that before. And that was part of her struggle. The things that didn't work weren't that major. I thought all three of the kids blended into one single character. They had very little distinct personality. They had the exact same opinions about everything. They moved together. They were almost always in every scene together. It felt a little weird. It was almost like she wrote one character, then split it into three, which wasn't a major problem, but it didn't really work for me that well. I also thought that Pedro was a little bit of a cheat, because by making Pedro not be his child, the writer sort of gave him a little more leeway to be a jerk, which I felt was a little bit of a cheat. Whereas if that had been his child, his biological child, maybe you would have struggled more with how much of a jerk he was being. So I felt that was a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit easy. But overall, I liked it. I agree with Mike. John Krasinski had the funniest lines. He and Alec Baldwin, but he had the funniest moments. Martin, other than a few, which only made them stand out more. Martin only had a few opportunities to really be funny, but when he was very funny. And I bought Streep's character. I bought her sort of book club ladies type, group of friends and them sort of supporting each other. That was very real feeling. I don't rate it probably as highly as Margaret does, but I enjoyed it. It was a solid movie. I'd watch it again, although I probably wouldn't go far out of my way to watch it. So I'd give it a solid 80.
80. So next time it's playing in your house, you'll probably not run.
Oh, no, I've never run before. It's the kind of movie that if I'm occupied with something else and she just she wants to watch a movie she knows she loves, it's one she'll pull out.
Nice.
And she knows she can watch it without me feeling like, oh, you watched that without me.
And will she give a rating this evening as well?
I do not know.
Oh, well, she's watching. If you're watching, Margaret. I'll go next.
I would check my personal Facebook feed because some of that.
Since we're going clockwise, counterclockwise, I'll go next.
You got, Dan.
And I'll give my mother's score right after I give my score. So the Rosenbergs are going to go right now. Like I said, Alec Baldwin, I've always liked Alec Baldwin, even pre 30 Rock. I did hear a funny story, which I won't share because it wasn't my story, like I said, from a guy that's a photographer who worked on a bunch of movies. And he had a very funny story about Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October. And the fact that Alec Baldwin actually had basically pissed off the producer so much, he had a 3-picture deal to do, Jack Ryan. And they paid him off to not do the next 2 and hired Harrison Ford instead because he was so hard to work, because that was like one of his first serious roles. He's not. I bet
he had a better Russian accent than Sean Connery, though.
Yeah, but I just think that he's a much better comedic actor, and he finally gave in and realized that he's much better being funny than being serious. And I used to do an impression of him, but I could only do it by saying his name. And I was in a play, and I was trying to find a clip for it. I couldn't find it, where I just went, "I'm Alec Baldwin," and that's all I would say is his name. And I had on a certain tie. And this other guy who I didn't even know, who joined, he was in this play too. He could do Stephen Baldwin's face, but he goes, I don't even know what Stephen Baldwin sounds like, but he made the face. So he would just come out and I'd be like, I'm Alec Baldwin. He's Stephen Baldwin. And that was it. And that guy was Simon Helberg from The Big Bang Theory.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm just kidding.
That's a big one. Nice. And the funny story with that, and let me just throw this since we're doing name drops real quick. So Becky was pregnant when I was doing this play in LA that Simon was in, and Simon went to high school with Jason Ritter, John Ritter's kid. And every time I'd go to this area called the Grove, we would see celebrities. And this one time we're pushing Josh around, and I'm like, I can't believe we're not going to see anybody this time. Like, we didn't see, there's nobody here. And all of a sudden I hear somebody go, Dan. And I turn around and it's Simon Helberg and Jason Ritter. And they come running over to see Josh because they had seen Becky when she was pregnant. So it was kind of cool that Josh was a celebrity at the Grove that night.
Wowzers.
All because I was able to say, I'm Alec Baldwin.
This name drop is sponsored in part by Jewish Space Lasers. When you care enough to send the very best.
All right, hold on.
Michael?
35 minutes.
Michael?
35 minutes. I had the over or you had the over?
I had the over.
All right, you win. We had an over-under bet on how long it would take somebody to mention Jewish.
Wow.
You have it.
Because Dan is constantly saying, we need more Jews. We need more Jews. So
does he say that? Has he ever said that?
Have I really
we need more Jews.
We need more Jews.
Yeah, in Hollywood, that's what they
constantly.
need.
He said that constantly. One time when my brother-in-law first came on, he said, "Ooh, Kenneth Greenberg. We should get another Greenberg in here." And Gary, you had the over for Back to the Future. That's clearly hit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's true. Also.
We had an over and under how long it would take you to mention Back to the Future, and you haven't. So I lose that one too.
Well, besides his new posters that are hanging behind him, but that's all right. So Dan,
oh, he did mention the posters. Oh, good, then I win that one.
So Dan, do you have a number?
Oh, yes. I'm giving it a 92.
Ooh, wow, excellent.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Like I thought about the movie a lot afterwards too. It made me think about it. So, and my mom gives it, and it's her movie, and she watched it again, and she's like, I just love this movie. My mom gives it a 98.
Woo!
Yeah, it's way up on her list.
That's awesome.
And she also said, this is not going to be a 70.
Well, I'd like to change my rating to 5.
Oh, that impression of your mother's uncanny. No, I'm kidding.
That was not an impression of my mother.
Yeah, 70. No,
I'm Alec Baldwin.
You made your mother sound like Alec Baldwin. That was not.
I am Groot.
All right, I'll go, and then we'll hand it off to Gary. Everything that Michael said he didn't enjoy about the movie were the reasons I liked the movie. I realized that. And I'm like, I like the fact that these people were flawed. I don't enjoy one-note characters. I don't like clear, like, this is a good person, this is a bad person. I like the fact that it's like, Meryl Streep was like, yeah, she went with her emotions, but she was torn up about it. She had to go to her therapist. She wasn't just a good person who always made good choices. She made bad choices. She struggled with them. I would have liked to seen a little guilt on Alec Baldwin's part about his wife and his, adopted son-ish. Yeah. But it's like there seemed nothing until like right towards the end when he realized he was going to have to stand up Meryl Streep, where he put his kid to bed and kind of rested his hand on his chest for like 12 seconds. And it's like, okay, is that guilt? Is that what I'm seeing here? And this is him feeling bad about what
I think it wasn't guilt. I think it was porn.
I thought the kid grabbed his hand. I didn't think he put the hand. Yeah, the kid was holding on to him and he was like,
Well, but I felt that it was a moment where he was sort of just reflecting on all that was happening. And that here's this kid, while the kid is noisy and disruptive and makes life super hard for him, and it's like, because that's the thing. That's another part where at the end of the day, I understand that desire or that thought about like, well, my life's a mess now. When was I happier? Could I go back to when I was happier? Maybe I was happier 10 years ago. Right. And so, I get that sort of that thought process. Not personally from my marriage, but I understand that from at least when I was dating. Verification. Never had those thoughts recently, but
remember, it was April 19th when it all went down.
So I appreciate that. I found that really enjoyable. Well, not enjoyable because it's real. So to have sort of that real, authentic storyline, that emotional storyline part of the movie, mixed with some, a little outlandish comedy stuff. I found really enjoyable. It's not a top 10 movie for me, but I think if it was on again sometimes, I'd probably stop and watch it. I'm not going quite as high as some of our high scores, but I gave it an 83. Gary.
Well, yeah.
Everybody looks to you now, Gary.
And I always talk the shortest amount of time, so I don't know. I liked it. It's got major star power. I think Alec Baldwin is very underrated as far as being an actor. He can do comedy. He did 30 Rock, of course, Saturday Night Live, this movie. He's very believable as a CIA analyst in Red October. He was a good thief in The Getaway. He was a good ex-con in Miami Blues. He's done a lot of things, and he can do them all really, really well. In every movie I just mentioned, he's very believable. Now, Meryl Streep, you just say the name, you go, holy shit, Queen of the Oscars, right? There's one thing about Meryl Streep I don't like in a comedy like this or Defending Your Life. When she reads her lines, she's kind of giggling. She sort of giggles all the time. She snickers. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying she's not a good actress, because she's obviously a great actress, but she's better at serious drama than she is at comedy. So, that. Now, you guys all mentioned they all have character flaws and they shouldn't do that. Guys, except for the guy wearing a white shirt in this panel, we all know we're all flawed. That particular guy thinks he's perfect, but we're all flawed, guys. We all have character flaws. And I mean, what movie doesn't have character flaws? I mean, I know that, you like to nitpick about that stuff, but maybe because I'm single and it doesn't bother me that, she was having an affair with a married man. But at the base of the movie, for me, it was a love story between Baldwin and Streep. And they truly, deeply loved each other. Yes, it broke up, but then they got back together. There's still feelings there, and they still love each other. So that's what kind of got me. And it's like, aw shucks moment. So like Dave said, it's not, or maybe Eric just said, it's not a top 10 movie for me, but it's very enjoyable. Krasinski, we all agree, great actor. Again, he can do comedy. He can do, did you see Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime?
That's true. Alec Baldwin,
really good...
they were both Jack Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan, right?
We all missed that. Every one of us.
I didn't mean to bring that up, but yeah, he was a good Jack Ryan, by the way.
If Harrison Ford was in this movie, that would have been the Jack Ryan trifecta.
What about Ben Affleck?
Yeah, and Chris Pine.
There you go. See, so
wow,
and it would really impressive if Sean Connery was in it. Anyways, so overall, I would say, enjoyable movie. If it came on, I would sit through another 20 minutes. Again, to touch on Steve Martin, waste of his talents. He just wasn't funny, but the character wasn't supposed to be funny. But overall, good movie, 86.
86. Nice. Excellent.
I liked it.
Listen, having flaws is one thing, but being morally reprehensible, which is what both of these characters were, was my problem.
There are people
so
like
you hated The Graduate too,
that, right? There are people like that in this world. So this was a movie about that.
So you hate The Graduate, right?
Well, here, the thing is, in The Graduate, you're not supposed to like them. You're supposed to be going, what is going on here? What is going on here? In this film, they're trying to be liked. So it set up a contradiction for me. That was my biggest problem.
We're supposed
my biggest problem was it was dull.
But they were married for 23 years. I mean, they were married for a very long time.
We're supposed to like that they still love each other. They still have feelings for each other. That's what we're supposed to like.
But I will say feelings, or was it just something I can't have?
At the end of, when you watch the director's commentary, the second to last scene, so when Baldwin and Streep are sitting on the swing outside and they're having their final sort of heart to heart, the director makes the comment that this is really the end of the movie. Because this is, and if you notice in the final scene when they're together, he's looking at her and she's not looking at him. She has her hand on his shoulder, but she's not looking at him because she's now moving on and he's still not able to do so. Right. And then she made the comment that the final scene with Steve Martin, that's looking toward the future. But really the end of the movie sort of was that final scene with Baldwin.
Well, see, I just saw the director to explain things to you.
But I saw it when I watched it. Just
No, but I
No,
felt that.
it gives the directors, the directors.
I felt that when I saw it, that the movie, the end of the movie really is, she gave it a try. They both realized it's not going to happen. We all have something we might look back in life and say, if I could get that job back, or if I could get that car back, or that ex-girl, whatever. And what if
Eric could get that ex-girlfriend back, it'd be.
Oh, I could get no. While we're sharing thoughts, here's Adam's thoughts on the movie. Adam Jones shares, big surprise. I didn't like the movie at all. It wasn't funny. I don't like rom-coms. This movie didn't change my opinion on them. It gets a 40.
Wow. Bitter table for one.
Adam and I finally on a similar page. Oh, and Adam, if you're listening, watch Crazy Stupid Love. If you haven't, you might find that one funny.
That's a great movie.
I have the feeling he won't like that either. But anyway,
Kenneth Greenberg, your brother-in-law, has not given a score, but obviously he's seen the movie. He's made several comments.
That's true. He has made comments. My sister did provide a comment that I can't bring up on screen, but she loves the movie. She gave it a 95. So we are these scores are complicated tonight, as is the movie. If anybody,
again, I think these scores are because of Streep and Baldwin. If these were two different actors, it's the star power.
Kenneth Kramer does say no. It's a psychological thriller with Meryl Streep loses her soul to become the elder member of Baldwin's stable.
See, I think Matt Gaetz is starring in the sequel. But
giggity.
Ken, we need a score, 1 to 100. Ken, give us a score.
I do think this movie could work with other actors. I think the writer-director combo. I say that all the time. You could take an okay script, and if you get the director, because they know what they wrote.
Right.
That's very true.
Somebody directs it, and they're not sure. They do their own interpretation. And yes, there are great directors out there that are horrible writers, Steven Spielberg. But I do think that
wow.
Dang, way to harsh on the goon.
There are great writers.
Man, I thought he gave great directions to that shark in that Jaws movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, while we'll wait and see if anybody else throws out a number in the comments, we will talk about what we're going to watch for next week. It's everybody's favorite time to go back to the Wheel of Reels. Are looking at turning off comedies for this.
I think we should leave comedies on, though. I think comedies should always be an option. Don't you guys?
I know there people who agree with that.
I always felt we should never take one off because what did we like? We watched comedies for 30 weeks in a row. So what did we watch? A drama?
I think the reason being, if someone is not a big fan of serious dramas, you don't want them to have to sit through a couple in a row.
It's true, but I think comedy can be the exception. We will always leave comedy on the wheel,
and it's a comedy show. We're trying to do a comedy show.
We are trying to it would be something enjoyable to listen to.
And the Title Film Festival screams comedy, I guess.
It does, absolutely. Well, let's scream about what the genre is going to be for next week.
It was originally called the Monday Movie Club.
And there it is. We're back to Potpourri. So there we are. Potpourri is our choice of the week. So we're going to have movies that are not dramas, comedies, action, or sci-fi movies. And we're going to instead look at movies that are potpourri. So we have quite a list. I added all of the Mind F movies to the potpourri wheel. So we currently do have a significant weight of Mind F movies on the potpourri wheel. And in regard to the change that we made last week. So, but this is your chance to either add a spot to the wheel, a spot for a movie, or you can duplicate something that's already on the wheel if you'd like.
Let's start with Gary. We'll go at the bottom up.
Oh, way to rip on Gary.
I know, right? Leave my bottom out of this, sir.
The last will be first.
Okay, so this is anything. Okay.
Pretty much anything. I mean, unless it really falls solidly in one of the other categories.
If it's solid comedy, a solid drama, solid action movie.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I referenced it earlier. Put it Boogie Nights up there.
There you go.
Hmm.
A whole bunch of different ways, so I agree.
Get to see
Dave, I throw
Mark
it to you.
Wahlberg.
Move up to Dave if he's ready or if he's not.
Yeah, I'm ready. because it's underrepresented, and this is really the only category in which it fits cleanly, I'm going to throw another musical on it.
Okay.
And put up The Music Man.
Nice.
Oh,
is that the Matthew Broderick made for TV?
No, that is not the Matthew Broderick version. That is the, I hate to say it this way, the Buddy Hackett version.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, Michael.
All right, I gotta if you were saying that the wheel feels a little heavy, Eric, you could probably move the Invisible Man and Butterfly Effect to sci-fi and shift the wheel that way.
I think
maybe even a couple others.
I think we'll be okay. I don't think it's
all right. I just figured if you wanted to free some space on the wheel that way, that would do it. I had a couple that I wanted to put on potpourri, and right now I can't remember either of them. So do me a favor, come back to me.
All right, we'll come back to you. Dan, do you know what movie?
I had two things I was going to do. Two ideas. One is a Meryl Streep movie with Rick Springfield, but I decided not to do that one. Wow. Called Ricky and the Flash.
Okay, what was the over-under on Rick Springfield reference?
Well, we're 54 minutes in. There's no way you could have that one. But I'm going to go, like Dave, I'm going to go with the musical for this one.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Grease.
It's the word I heard.
It is the word, and I think the conversation we could have about that movie in today's day and age.
And it ties into your talks with Raffi, too.
Yes, and Joey Maraschino, is that her name?
Yeah, sure.
What is Maraschino, like the cherry? That
Marty
Maraschino.
Maraschino, like
we were just talking about her earlier because her husband and my wife work together. Dinah Manoff. Dinah Manoff lives here on the island, friend of the family, and that's a little bit of a name drop. But maybe if we have Grease, I could maybe see if she'll pop in and say hi.
There you go.
How about that? That's a great choice. I like
Probably won't though, but Grease.
Adam Jones wants to add the producers.
Oh, wow. Great. I assume the original.
Which one? Which one?
Brooks one, I hope.
I assume. We'll find out. We'll wait and hear if he's, again, Matthew Broderick. We'll wait and hear and see what he has to say. I'm going to do it because I have to.
No, don't do it.
Putting Sergeant Pepper's on.
Oh, man.
No.
Wow.
It is the Mel Brooks one, but yes.
Show, guys.
Because I love that Peter Frampton acting. Boy, that's...
Boy, that Barney Rubble, what an actor.
He can't spell.
He can't even spell it. He's... Your keyboard doesn't want you to put it on.
My keyboard. I'm going to blame
Look at that line. Look how thin that line is. Anybody else in the comments have a movie they want to throw?
Anybody in the comments is welcome to, and we'll go back to Michael while we wait on the comments.
Eric, check your page.
I had forgotten that since we don't have a crime and caper category, that's what I wanted to populate this wheel with.
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to put
sting.
I'm going to put the 1972 comedy caper film based on the book by Donald Westlake, The Hot Rock, with George Siegel, who recently died, and Robert Redford, who's probably soon to die. So The Hot Rock.
Wait, what year was that?
1972.
The title of the movie again, I'm sorry, what the title of the movie was?
The Hot Rock.
Was Dwayne Johnson born already? Dwayne Johnson?
Oh, he was the Hot Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually tempted.
George Siegel.
Oh, I love George Siegel.
So we've got two Jacobs and a Kenneth in the comments. I think we've only gotten one movie from you guys. Adam threw out.
Mike, I was tempted to put Sleuth on the wheel because that's another just total
that's a good one.
Mind messing.
I have a question for Eric. Eric,
Yes?
when we start doing the double feature wheel, one of the things I was going to do for my double features was original and remake.
Sure.
And the one that Adam picked, producers, was one of my ones I want to put on. So if we do that, is that okay? And if we do that, I'm assuming we're going to pull one of those films off the other wheel if we do.
Right, because I would do Grease and Grease 2, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's not a remake.
You could
but
remake or sequel.
One of my other things was going to be original remake or original and 30-year later sequel, like The Hustler and Color of Money. Those were the kind of things I was going to do for double feature.
I like it.
Ernest goes to jail. Ernest goes to camp. I mean,
Medea family reunion.
there you have it. I mean,
So that is
I
a
think
reminder.
Gary may have stumbled on 2 films that'll knock Howard the Duck out of last place.
That's awesome.
So this is a great reminder that next week we will not be spinning the genre wheel because we will be going straight to double features, and everybody is going to be encouraged to suggest their own double feature that we'll put both movies on the wheels. We'll take a spin and see what we get. And that'll be kind of awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be kind of cool. So that's next week. And I think we've got all the suggestions we're going to get.
yeah, bad boy.
So, I think it is time to spin the wheel of Renos. Oh, I know. It goes on forever and it lands on time lapse. I don't even remember who put this on.
What is? I never even seen that.
I never even heard of this.
Never heard.
Time-lapse.
Who put that up?
Might have been me.
Look at that. It sounds like a Dan movie.
It
Sounds
does
like
sound
an
a
Adam
damn
movie.
No one's claiming it.
Hold
Dan,
on.
it's yours?
It had to be mine. Right?
You don't.
If you don't remember,
I know, right?
All right, I'm doing a time lapse.
sorry. Yeah, Pauly Shore, Gilbert Godfrey.
Three friends.
Discover a photo machine that shows pictures a day into the future. It shows pictures a day in the future after they use it for personal gain, disturbing and dangerous photos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't give
I
away
never saw
any-
this. I did pick this.
They did a
For the-
remake of it. It's called Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
It was this. Yeah, I did pick this for the Mind F movie.
For the Mind F, yeah.
So there we go. Unless you guys don't really, I mean, we could say no.
Well, it's your choice. If you decide that that's your choice and you're like, nah, you know what, I was trying to come
If
up
you've
with
changed your mind, that's one thing.
You know what? Screw it. Spin it again.
Woohoo!
I like to keep people happy.
Hear the sound again.
Although, here's what I'll say. I want everybody to watch it anyway. It'll be what else you're watching.
Fair enough.
All right, so that's bonus. That's bonus feature to watch there.
10 extra points next week if you watch
But
it.
the actual discussion will not be about turned off
We'll
time
give it
lapse.
10 minutes. We'll give it 10 minutes on Friday to talk about it.
There you go. All right, let's find out what we're going to talk about next week then. As Dan hands over the reins to 12
Monkeys.
You know what? I'm doing the same. I'm going to do a Dan on that one. I'm taking that one off as well because that was mine.
So are we really just going with what Michael said, moving all these to the sci-fi?
Yeah, the trouble is all the stuff that was in the Mind F category is now here, and we don't seem to want it to be here.
Well, I
really want a musical
We were
or
trying to come up with Mind F movies because there was a category for it. So that wasn't necessarily something I was, unless somebody's heartbroken about 12 Monkeys, at least coming off the wheel for now.
Well, let's do 10 more
12
bonus
Monkeys
points.
is a good film, but it belongs on sci-fi. I think we should move 12 Monkeys and Time Lapse to sci-fi.
If Dan and Eric want to move theirs, they can.
I'd rather just get rid of it for me. If somebody else wants to suggest 12 Monkeys,
I'm okay getting rid of it.
Let's
for now.
move 6 of the monkeys, and we'll keep the other 6 here.
I like it. Let's spin.
It's
Move
only
Michael
four.
and Peter. We'll keep Mickey and
All right,
David.
here we go.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Done. Next week's movie is officially
If
Who's
this movie
yours?
gets under 80.
I'd rather do 12 Monkeys.
No.
Well, trust me.
Michael, this movie has a backstory of basketball, but it's not about basketball. Can you get a grip on that?
It's a redemption film, Michael. A redemption film.
It's about yes, redemption.
Is it a Christmas movie?
There
See,
is
I'm afraid-
no-
relationships.
I'm afraid the characters will be flawed, and I won't be able to buy into them.
Gene
Come on, it's
Hackman.
Lex Luthor.
They weren't flawed. They were reprehensible.
Gene Hackman.
Oh, man.
Guy who works on porno movies.
And
Speaking
Dennis
of
Hopper, dude. All right, you can wrap your Dennis Hopper. You like Dennis Hopper? I know you do.
It's Dennis Hopper, Barbara Hershey. I mean,
Gene
come on,
Hackman.
Jimmy Chitwood.
Jimmy, it's a great actor.
Wow.
I am a huge Gene Hackman fan. I cannot go wrong with Gene Hackman.
Adam,
He's
how
got to
dare
be.
you?
He's
How
got to be
dare
over
you,
90,
Adam?
right? How old is he?
I will put 12 Monkeys over on the
Agree with
sci-fi.
Adam.
I will put 12 Monkeys over on the sci-fi wheel.
And it looks like it's on Prime Video for free watching if you're a Prime member.
And the
Who's yours?
bonus movie for this week is Time Lapse. If you want to watch Time Lapse and discuss that, and we'll discuss that next week during the next segment, which is what else are you watching? And just like that, we are 1 hour in. It is time to talk about what other entertainment things you guys have found to watch this week. Anybody anxious to go first?
Let's go around the horn.
I will, because I got a good one.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, first thing, I do want to say something, Eric. You and I had a long discussion about the varying personalities on this show. We do a good show, and this show, I think, was one of our better shows. I really do, despite the fact that we never agree on a lot of stuff. I enjoy rewatching what we're doing because we're giving some quality stuff here. I got to tell you, all of us. All right.
Well, make sure you leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
Listen, I promise you, as soon as I get back up on my review site, I will give this a really huge plug because we're doing some good stuff here. Okay, now
Stop being so flawed, Michael.
He's irrehensible. Go ahead, please.
Dave has mentioned a bunch of times how when you do reboots or remakes, they're not usually good, and there's a bunch of them that shouldn't have been done or should have been called what they were called. Like, for example, the remake of The Karate Kid is completely not, it should have been called The Kung Fu Kid. The reboot of Hawaii Five-0 is actually pretty good. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I found, by accident, a reboot of Kung Fu. Now, at first I went, there's no way you're going to do this any good. You can't. It has there's very little resemblance to the original Kung Fu. First of all, the lead is female. Second of all, most of the cast is Chinese, which I love because that's the way it should have been. But it takes away some of what happened in the original Kung Fu. If you guys know the backstory, Bruce Lee came up with the idea, but they wouldn't cast him because they were afraid that the white audience wouldn't accept a Chinese male lead. So they cast David Carradine, and they sort of lucked onto a nice thing with the character being of mixed race. That kind of gave the original Kung Fu a nice a bit of tension in there because I like the idea of, hey, a mixed race main character. This one gets rid of all that, but this one does make up for it with some great action stuff and a real nice family dynamic in the film, in the TV series. So if you get a chance to watch it, it's not awful, it's not great, but I'm finding it watchable.
Watchable is the level we aspire to.
Well, if you've already cleared out your entire Netflix queue because of quarantine, it's watchable.
I'm gonna go.
That sounds really good. I didn't even know they had done such a thing.
I'm going to go back to.
I found it by accident.
I'm going to go back to stuff that I've been watching on YouTube. I can't. I talked about this on Clutch Radio. I can't stop watching this guy. Vice Grip Garage is the name of his show. He's this guy in Minnesota, and he goes in the middle of the field. Like, he'll buy a car sight unseen on eBay or on Craigslist, and he'll fly to the town with his toolbox. And the car's sitting in the middle of the field. It's been sitting for 25 years. He knows nothing about it. He gets it running, and then he drives it 400, 600, 800 miles home. And you just get to see him stopping at the local gas station, and I got to put in 8 quarts of oil, and just the way he talks, it's so funny. And it's called Vice Grip Garage, and it should be a TV show. I mean, I could play a clip because it's not something that is copyright. I mean, it is copyright protected, but it's not something that I think they'd flag us for. But I recommend it highly. I really love watching this guy. I watch one of his episodes every day now.
Wow,
he's got about 150 episodes out.
Have you learned anything?
Yeah. I've been working on this one car I'm getting ready to flip, and I've done 2 fixes on it that I'm like, this guy's, I mean, he sounds like an idiot, but he's obviously very smart. But he's made things, I've been very intimidated by working on cars my whole life. I mean, I've loved cars, but I've never worked on them because I'm like, what if I break it? And Rafi helped me with that too. He's like, who cares? If you're going to take it to a mechanic anyway, give it a try. Worst thing that happens, it's still broken. Like yesterday, my electric car. I go out to drive my little electric car. It's totally dead. I'm like, how can an electric car be totally dead? So I troubleshot and I got it running. So
I mean, my brother was the opposite way, where he felt that, we're going to get an old car and I'll get it running and this will be a great project for Howard. And found out, hey, cars are really complicated sometimes.
Especially old cars.
Yeah.
My father was an auto mechanic, and as a kid, he was always had me in the garage. My job was mostly holding the flashlight, but because of him, I now can repair my car. And every time I repair my car and I'm having trouble, I get mad at him.
Your car or your dad?
My dad. I get mad at my dad for teaching me how to fix my car. God damn it! I can't get this screw loose.
Oh, you've got a screw loose. Eric?
Hey, I fed you that on purpose.
I know.
Come on, where's the rim shot, Eric? Come on.
All right, Gary, what do you got?
And then after I say it, I have to leave. So, and this is the part of the show where I talk about things that you guys probably saw 5 years ago because I'm new to the whole streaming thing. Still in the middle of The Crown. It's getting better, so I like that. And I just started something called Shameless, which William H. Macy, this guy.
I love Macy.
He is an amazing actor. Again, he's one of those guys that can do everything, anything. I don't care what he's in. He steals the scene. He steals the show. So if you haven't seen Shameless, I'm only 2 episodes in, but it's interesting.
And he steals college admission for his kids.
His wife did that.
He set that up too.
Yeah.
That was
So
Felicity.
that was Felicity did that.
Now,
So,
William, now not to be confused with Bill Macy from Maude or Mike Macy from
William
the unmade movie Stand Ups.
Yeah. So and another character
TV series.
another
Oh, the
actor
TV series.
from Boogie Nights, William H. Macy, who kind of had a scary
John,
scene there. Yeah.
During the peak era of the celebrity combined nicknames like Benifer, Jon Stewart on The Daily Show referred to them as Felicity H. Muffman.
I like that. That's fabulous.
All right. With that, guys, I got to go. So I will see you on Friday or Monday.
All right. Great.
Peace out.
So I don't have much, actually. I've not gotten a chance to watch as much this week. It's been slowing down for me. I have watched a lot of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I'm surprised how many of those either I didn't see or I don't remember seeing.
I'm slowly watching those in order, and I think I'm up to like season 5 or something like that.
Well, what's interesting now? Are you watching them on Netflix? Because Netflix has
changed the order a little bit.
Seasons.
The order I'm going by IMDb's order, which is a pain in the butt, but that's what I'm doing.
Wow, so you're doing hard, and I wish I could do that, but I'm not that devoted.
You're going crackle.
Yeah, he's going all crackle on it. I obviously am watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm still really enjoying that. And of course, we will eventually do a full spoiler discussion about that. But I really do enjoy this. And I will share that over the weekend, my kids enjoy, shutting themselves in the basement and watching movies and keeping us out because they want to be able to rip cleanly on the movie as loud and as probably inappropriately as imaginable. So they watched the Snyder Cut yesterday and the amount of laughter in the basement yesterday.
Was it slow motion laughter?
It was
No, it was black and white.
It was black and white. It was just a soft gray tint over everything. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you would have thought I would have had them in the garage working on a car afterwards. They're just like, oh, that was so painful.
It is 4 hours.
It is 4 hours. Well, the funny thing is that my son Alex follows a YouTuber who likes to do movie reviews that are longer than the actual movie. So this person, I'll have to find the name of the YouTuber, did a 6-hour review of the last Star Wars movie, and just destroyed it. So far, there's only a 2-hour movie review of that person. And after they got done watching the 4-hour Snyder Cut, he then watched the 2-hour review of the person who also didn't like it. Yeah, lots of comments from a 13 and 16-year-old about the Justice League movie that are discouraging me from giving it another shot.
Well, there you go.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. It definitely improved, which wasn't hard to do. The Josh Whedon cut.
I have not read a single review that didn't agree that it's improved, but I've read multiple reviews that said it is not improved enough to make it worth sitting through 4 hours.
Well, if you split it up, it becomes enjoyable. If you try to do the 4 hours, yeah.
That didn't work for It's Complicated for you.
Listen, I don't think anything will fix It's Complicated for me.
I want the Snyder cut of It's Complicated with a lot of slow motion and.
That would be fantastic.
Baldwin bending over slowly.
Oh, no, I don't want to see that. No, that's not necessary.
So, Gary mentioning William H. Macy did make me think, I really want to rewatch Fargo sometime because, and it's weird, especially with Dan mentioning that writer-directors have a track record, if it's a good writer or director, obviously, have a track record of really producing some great stuff. And the Coen brothers is a great example of that. And we have not yet watched a single Coen brothers film on EriDan, which is really a shame because they've done some brilliant stuff.
Did you hear the story about...
Have you seen the Fargo series? There's like 4
I'm
seasons
aware
that
of it,
take place.
and Mads I like, but I haven't watched it. No,
it's pretty good.
I saw a funny clip that Bill Murray found out that Joel Coen was doing the Garfield movie, and that's why he agreed to do it. It was a different Joel Coen.
Yes.
And then in the interview, they said,
I read that.
In the interview, the woman goes, "Garfield 3, why?" And he goes, "Because drugs are expensive."
Woo!
Do we have a total?
I've done very little watching recently, other than it's baseball seasons. That sucks up a little bit of time and things like that. I didn't, however, pick up, and I've been meaning to pick this up for some time. So now it's going to be on my short list to watch. Is an absolutely wonderful movie.
Oh, The Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator. Possibly the last great Charlie Chaplin film, and truly a brilliant movie.
So the Pirates, are they already out of playoff contention?
They're not doing well, but they're not even in last place. They're ahead of the Cubs.
Oh my God.
And for a much better budget.
Well, my Mariners, I've been to 2 games in 11 years. They're 10-6. They're in first place right now.
Nice.
Yeah, in the AL West.
It used to be so painful to watch the Mariners because they would have a good season and they had no relief pitching. So you'd have the starter handed over to the relievers. Oh, they were ahead and lost again. Oh, yep. They were ahead and lost again. Yep.
Yeah, my line was always, "Hey, why don't you come visit Seattle? We'll go see the Mariners lose."
Nice.
But yeah, they're allowed 9,000 people in the stadium. That's 25% capacity, and that's 4,000 more than they usually get.
Ooh, man. And then what was the new series the new movie Marvel dropped the trailer for? The martial arts.
They were going to do that, the feng shui. No,
Shang-Chi,
Tai Chi, yes.
and something.
Tai Chi.
Wrong. Feng shui, yellow furniture on the left. And furniture on the right.
You arrange the heroes by color. So Hulk, you're over here.
Right. Only
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
That is
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
I know
Rings.
about feng shui I got from Animal Crossing. So.
I did do some feng shui in my old office. I had called it feng shui, and it said the certain area you put things you wish for, and I put a picture of a DeLorean in that spot. And a year and a half later, I owned a DeLorean.
Wow.
You should have put a Bitcoin on there.
I know. My Doge is doing well.
I noticed.
I got fired from a job for having feng shui with one of the managers.
Oh.
Okay then.
It's complicated.
Shot.
There is complicated.
That's that old the old joke. He got fired for putting his penis in the French fry slicer.
What?
Oh, that must have hurt. Oh, no, it wasn't the actual machine. It was the girl who operated the French fry slicer. That was her condition.
So Adam I'm gonna save this. Adam shared in the comments that he started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. As someone who doesn't like Seinfeld, he likes Curb. And Larry David,
pretty good. It's a good show.
How about that?
Curb Your Enthusiasm is funny. I like the show.
I've never watched that.
You have to be in a Larry David frame of mind, but if you are in the right frame of mind,
always in a Larry David frame of mind. I had a Larry David moment once. I don't know if this
Billy
is
Joel song.
Yeah, I'm in a Larry David state of mind.
You have to mess up your hair and play Bernie.
Pretty good. I was sitting in a restaurant in the upper area in Santa Monica, and I'm eating, and I look over and I see Larry David walk up to the counter. I'm like, holy shit, there's Larry David. And Becky's like, oh my God, it's Larry David. Because we had just started watching the show. And he's just standing there kind of doing his Larry David thing and looking at the menu, and he orders, and you can just tell me it's a hassle for him to be out there. So he orders and he leaves. 15 minutes later, he comes back in. Food's not ready. He leaves. 5 minutes later, comes back in, gets his food. Thank you. Walks out. 10 minutes later, comes back in. He'd left his credit card I'm sitting there going, I just had my own little personal episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just sitting here at Real Food Daily in Santa Monica.
It was based on that experience.
It's a great show, and it's ad-libbed. I mean, he writes a story, but the actors are given a slip of paper. A few of my friends have been on the show, and they say, yeah, you show up and you get like a slip of paper, and you just go. And you just have to ad-lib and make stuff up. And then if he likes it, then they reshoot it, and they said, well, try it. And I mean, there's a lot of direction and stuff, but it's a great show.
That's why you get directors like that or creators like that. And Christopher Guest is the same way. That's why they get their standard troupe of actors, because they know they can trust them to embody a character and come up with great lines.
Yeah. Jeff Garlin is great on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love what Jeff Garlin was doing on that show. He's so good.
And
So good.
Richard Lewis.
I like
Richard Lewis. Richard Lewis is Richard Lewis. He's just doing. What's his name? Schmoove, DB Schmoove. What's the guy's name?
JB Smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JB
I love what he does.
Oh, he's just
so good.
They said
he's great on talk shows too. He really is hysterical.
When he went into audition, he goes, I just walked in. I just said, "This is how I'm going to do. I'm going to do it like this. I'm just going to come up. I'm just going to do it." And he was just in character the entire time. And they're like, "We're not sure if he was acting or if that's how he was, but we need him on the show."
It worked.
I was when I was working at a casino as a poker floor person. Cheryl Hines plays a lot of poker. She came in and was playing poker, and I got to meet Cheryl Hines. And I told her, "Listen, I love the work you do." And she gave me a big smile. And she's so beautiful in person. Name drop.
This name drop is sponsored in part by Aglets. Oh yeah, baby. You know what I'm talking about.
I like how Mike doesn't trust you, Eric. He feels the need to tell you.
I was ready.
Name drop. Name drop.
One time he missed.
I try to wait till the end of the story. It's not like right when you say the person's name. I wait till the whole story's over, and then I hit the name drop.
Do you do that in your comedy? Laugh now. Laugh now.
It's more of a comedy thing where it's like, be a man.
As Dan will tell you, it's one of the reasons I don't do comedy anymore. I had to keep prompting the audience when to laugh.
That must have been magic.
By the way, how come that didn't come up on one of the? I was watching those games you were playing. I was expecting at some point for you to. I forget what question it was, but I expected for you to write. It must be magic on one of the games. It was some of those games looked like they were fun to play, but they were torturous to watch. The only one that's fun to watch.
Well, you know what's
one
crazy?
that's fun.
We have the viewers don't leave.
Yeah.
I know. The one that was fun to watch is Fibbage. That one's fun to watch.
I like Fibbage. I like Fibbage a lot.
That's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I want to point out, and Gary's gone, so I can't make fun of him. His ex came up a lot in that game.
He did mention his ex a lot. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, every Friday night during the EriDan Social Hour on Facebook and on YouTube live, we play games, and we've been playing Jackbox games recently where anybody can play from anywhere in the world. You don't even have to be on screen with us, and you can play games with us. And it's been super fun. Like on Friday went 3 hours.
That was nuts. That was
absolutely nuts.
But I watched every minute of it.
Oh my goodness.
It's your heart. You found that more interesting than it's complicated?
Yeah, it was. I found it much more interesting than it's complicated. And Dan, let me tell you something about your wish purchases. It seems to me that you got exactly what you were supposed to get, other than the color with the acoustic tiles. It seems to me that the problem with your drone wasn't the drone. It seems like it was user error. I hate to tell you.
It lost signal. Like it was not that far from me, and it just kept going. I could not control it anymore.
Did you ever get it out of the tree?
No.
Any drone outside of one the size that Dave has, any mini drone that you buy, you should test in the house first.
I love when he said that. I was laughing so hard after he said that. I couldn't stop.
That is the key with the drone. So let's take a look where It's Complicated end up tonight.
Oh, good.
Big board. Let's take a look. I think your mother's going to be happy. It's in the first column.
Oh,
wow. Bottom tied with Trading Places at 81 with the ranking for It's Complicated. So not in the middle of the pack for It's Complicated, but actually in our first column of movies. So a pretty fine showing for It's Complicated.
There you go, Mom. See that?
Nice. Yeah, anytime you're in the 80s, that's a very solid showing.
Definitely a solid score to get into the 80s, especially with this crew.
Especially with Adam and Mike giving it pretty negative reviews.
People who did not enjoy it quite as much.
Hey, you know, my brother-in-law watches this show almost constantly, and he said to me tonight that he feels like at this point he's an interloper. I've been trying to convince him to come and join us. I think we should all. You guys should say something. Kenneth, you want to join us?
Come on now, absolutely.
Not tonight. Obviously not tonight, but next week.
Well, we'll take your word for it that he fit in. We don't know him. You do.
Well, other than when my brother used to come on the show, it would be the first time we had two Jews on simultaneously, I think.
Yes,
my brother hasn't been on in a long time.
I will point out for the past couple of months, we've had a pretty set group of regulars, but I don't want anybody to feel discouraged from joining in. We can handle up to 10 people at once, and we are always interested in having fresh faces join us. So never feel like this is just something you can't, you only have to stay in the comments, or we want everybody to feel like they can join in.
I was a little surprised Reagan didn't join, since she's apparently a huge John Krasinski fan.
Her mother Stacy mentioned that she might, because she liked the movies, but we didn't see her. I thought we might have seen a couple of people that we hadn't seen for a while, but
I have expected Denise to show up because she said that seemed like a movie she'd want to watch.
She did, and she forgot. She forgot to watch it again this weekend, so she did not get a chance. And she's like, well, I'll just listen. So Denise, there's your shout out for tonight. Anybody have anything else they want to share as far as
I'm getting my second shot in a couple days, so
there you go. Nice.
Well, I think that we should mention what Dan got on Wish was a goodbye.
You want to end there?
Okay, this is where you laugh.
Oh, I wasn't going to end the show there.
No, we weren't ready to end the show yet, because Michael, I found something that's interesting.
Goodbye to the drone is what it was. That is now stuck in his tree. All right, Dan, what do you have?
This is weird. I was going to do a Richard Lewis thing because he and I have chatted a couple of times on Twitter, and I went into my Twitter account and look at this.
What'd you get?
Michael Menza.
Oh,
I said, "What up, Menza? Twittering is fun, no?" And he said, "Not yet, not yet, not yet."
Yeah, but look at the date. That was
so what's the timestamp?
I know, it's 2009. That's amazing. That's 12 years ago.
Getting this message now?
I just got it. No.
Dan doesn't respond to Twitter comments, so
look, my wife asked, "When are you doing your next radio show?" By the way, my wife is at Becky.
Wow.
Awesome.
How did she get that?
Well, she spells it Beckey, which not a lot of people do, but she signed up pretty early on and she got at Becky. I'm like, you got to really. Anybody else exciting on here?
I bet the person who got at Karen now wishes they didn't.
Yeah.
Or maybe, it'd be a great joke account. You could have a lot of fun with it that way, right?
Wow, this is fun, right?
That's awesome. Let's look through Dan's Twitter feed.
Some people wouldn't dare show that on.
We will remind everybody that on Friday night for the social hour, you can join us every Saturday. Dan does a fantastic car show with Rafi. And next Monday, Hoosiers in your face, fun times.
Already added to my watch list on Amazon.
It is. I've seen it 50
I have
times.
mixed emotions about sports movies, so we'll see how this goes.
You've seen that as much as Adam has seen Goonies.
Probably. And I have a great story about coaching at Avonworth High School in 1992 in this movie. And there's a lot of deep stories with this. Plus Archie Miller getting fired at Indiana, no longer being a Hoosier.
It's going to be an emotional night.
Yeah,
there might be some tears shed. So, I think that's a great place to wrap it up, guys. Thank you all.
Is it a goodbye?
Now it's a goodbye. See you Friday or not or whatever. See you.
Oh,
subscribe to the podcast. Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye.